Hey, don't forget, we appreciate you making Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery your first listen every day. Make sure you make Locked On Sports Today's podcast your second listen every day. The biggest stories of the day, instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. You can find it on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast from. So in the ever-growing and expanding world of the New York Knickerbockers family, they got the newest member of their family because they found themselves a new daddy last night in Dejounte Murray. Now, let's start with the numbers first on Murray. Last night, 36 points, 9 assists, 5 steals in the game last night to go along with a plus 26 in the game. It was an outstanding performance. But what I want to focus on is, the Hawks at one point in that game last night, they were down 51-28 to New York. From that point, they outscored New York 84-48. 84-48, including a 32-10 third quarter against the Knicks. Now, did they do that because they just started hitting on all cylinders offensively and Trae Young was hucking it up and doing this and he's shooting threes and bombs away and bop, bada, boop? No. Well, John Collins was going wild, right? He was dunking and this and that. No. What turned that game completely around is Dejounte Murray's defense and him taking possessions away from the Knicks. They also had a 24-second clock violation, a couple things, and he turned those steals into easy baskets for the Atlanta Hawks. And I'll say again, that last night with last year's team, that game last night, that 51-28, that would have been a 35-point loss last night on last year's team because they didn't have a guy last year like Dejounte Murray. And his defensive intensity, his knack for finding the basketball completely turned that game around last night. Remember, Trae Young got hurt. He got his eye scratched. He missed a good chunk of the game. And it's not like he was bombs away and just draining threes everywhere. Murray played big defense. He hit a couple of big threes. They got a lot of easy baskets for all of it, and they chipped away. And then once they took the lead, they put their foot on the gas and they stayed out front. They won 112-99 last night. This is the difference. You saw leadership. You saw the defensive intensity. This is the difference about the Hawks this year and last year. I said this after the Houston game. They wouldn't have won that game to start the year. But you see a guy like Murray, and you see what a massive increase in difference he is to this roster. I mean, with all due respect last night, when you look at some of the numbers for the Atlanta Hawks, Collins was 4 for 10 with 12 points. He didn't do a whole lot. Hunter was aggressive, but he was able to pick up some easy baskets through their defense. He finished with 21. Trae only had 17. Those aren't games that the Hawks win when he only scores 17, and he's injured and out for a long time. And by the way, they didn't get a single solitary point from their bench in the first half. Not a one. Oh, let's look at the Knicks bench real quick. How did Cam Reddish do? Oh, boy, 6 points in 15 minutes. I remember y'all telling me how. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked here. But anyway, they didn't get a point from their bench in the first half, and Holiday had the most off their bench with 8. This was all about Dejounte Murray. Yes, his scoring and the 36 points, but his defense, his defensive intensity, his ability to change up the game, his ability to get steals, his ability to change up possessions, his ability to help them get easy baskets. There's so many nuanced things. I know it's easy to look and just say the 36 points, the 5 steals, and those obviously are magnificent numbers. But just what it did for the tone and tenor of that game. The Knicks had no answer, and they kept turning the ball over and turning the ball over. And the Hawks got out-rebounded in that game last night. They got out-rebounded by 1. I think it was 53-52, I believe, was the rebounding edge last night. 52-51. The Knicks actually had the rebounding edge. But Murray's defensive intensity completely changed the dynamic of that game. And that's another victory this year that they would not have had with last year's squad. Last year's squad, it would have turned into what Toronto turned into. It'd have been 30, 40-point blowout loss. And it would have completely changed what the look of that road trip was. Now the Hawks come home after the 5-game road trip. They got a couple of days off to get Trae healthy. They'll play the Pelicans on Saturday, but they came off a 3-2 road trip. Back-to-back victories in Detroit, beating the Knicks last night. That's huge. That we talk about how you're going to get to the 4 or 5 seed and how you're going to get. Last night was a perfect example. That's a game last year's team wouldn't have won. Opening night's a game that they very much could have lost last year. So a win here, 2 wins here, win here, and all of a sudden that's the difference of, are we the 7, 8, 9 seed we're fighting for, or we're the 3, 4, 5 seed that we're fighting for? And that's the thing about Murray. He's such a difference maker in so many different ways. The Hawks have, listen, as great as Trae Young is, Trae Young beats you because he can fire it from everywhere on the court and he can outscore your best player. Dejounte Murray doesn't have to outscore the other team's best player. He can defend him. He can create defensive intensity. He can dish throw. He can do so many different things for this club. He's a joy to watch right now. And he really is going to make everybody better around him. And look, right now they're averaging almost 50 points a game from their backcourt, 17 assists, I believe it is. Their backcourt is as good as anybody you want to put up in the NBA against them. You give me Trae Young and Dejounte Murray, I'll take those guys over pretty much anybody you can throw at me in the NBA. I don't care if it's the Celtics, whatever. You give me those 2 guys. Because here's what I know about Murray. You know, even if their offense was dreadful last night early in that game, they couldn't throw it in the ocean if their life depended on it. And they weren't doing a whole lot of movement. They weren't creating a lot of good shots. They couldn't throw it in the lake no matter to save their life. But once Murray, and really a lot of this happened once, even when Trae got off the court, that Murray kind of took over that game. He led them defensively with his intensity. I can't say enough good things about what Dejounte Murray has already in a short sample size, in an 8-game sample size. You can see how good of a player that this kid is and was and is going to be. You can see why the Hawks were willing to give up the capital. Can I tell you, we're only 8 games in, and this is already a great trade for the Hawks. I don't care if they gave up a first round, second round, 8th round, 20th round, 6 first-rounders. If they had to get Ted Stepien in to give away the next 10 years worth of first-rounders in, Google Ted Stepien, you'll learn what I'm talking about. This already is a big W for the Hawks because they've already won multiple games where Dejounte Murray has been the linchpin for why that they've won. And I said it opening night, and I'm saying it again here. This kid is going to be fun to watch, and he is a true difference maker. He is why they won that game last night. Those are games that last year they would have had no chance to win. All right, I want to talk about my friends over at Built Bar. Listen, head to Built.com today and check out their wide, extensive menu of products. Listen, you want the low-calorie, low-sugar, low-carb snack, right? We're all looking for that, but where can I get my protein from? Well, listen, check out the protein bars. Check out, we've talked about this before, the protein-infused marshmallow puffs. You're going to love those things. It's a little different texture than just your typical protein bar. So if you want something a little bit different, try the the protein-infused marshmallow puffs. But every month they're coming out with a new flavor over at Built Bar. So I want you to head to Built.com today. Check out the menu, check out all the different products they have, and put your order together. And when you get to checkout, I want you to use the promo code LOCKEDON15, LOCKEDON, the number 1, the number 5, LOCKEDON15. Use that promo code. You get 15% off your order simply by using the promo code LOCKEDON15. Head to Built.com today. Check out their products. Save yourself 15% with our promo code LOCKEDON15.